Welcome back to JNL Sports, and in today's video, we're going to break down who's going to win the national championship. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the first game, which is Clemson versus Texas. Lead us into this, Jackson. Who you got and why?
I'm gonna take Texas, but I do want to bring up an interesting storyline here early on. Who's gonna start at quarterback for Texas, man? Quinn Ewers is struggling a lot recently. He struggled a ton in the SEC championship. But we see Arch Manning. Arch Manning, 9 touchdowns and 2 picks this year, along with 4 rushing touchdowns. Nice dual threat quarterback. I really think we could see Arch Manning starting, or at least getting some reps if he was struggled early on.
Yeah, and I think
But
Archie Manning is really freaking good too, from what we saw, because they run him a lot in like read options and things of that nature. So I'll be interested to see if they'll do like a lot of quarterback schemed runs,
yeah,
things of
he's
that nature.
definitely the best athlete in the Manning family.
Yeah, way better than Cooper, who's apparently his dad.
But some notes on Clemson. Obviously, they beat SMU 34-31 on a game-winning 56-yarder in the ACC championship. They went 2-3 against ranked teams, and they were the only program that did not get anyone through the transfer portal this season, which is an interesting strategy to say the least from Dabo.
He hates the transfer portal. I don't know why.
Yeah, but some guys to look out here for. Colin Simmons is a freshman for Texas, 8 sacks. And Anthony Hill Jr., the linebacker, is probably their best player, 7.5 sacks, 90 tackles, a pick, and 4 forced fumbles. He's a real, disruptive player. And I think Clemson's going to have a hard time with him for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And I really just think Clemson's going to have an overall hard time stopping their offense. I think their defense is very mid in terms of Clemson's just overall
Mhm.
package. Their D line is fantastic. I will say that. They have a lot of players, including Parker, who has 11 sacks, which is a very elite pass rush number. So
Yes, he's one of the best pass rushers in the nation, no doubt.
exactly. And Avion Terrell, who's also been a phenomenal corner, he's been absolutely fantastic. I think he's going to give problems as well. So there
Mm.
are some good players on their defense, but I think overall Texas is just way too damn talented. And they're going to run all
Texas,
over them.
Texas might have the best defense in the nation. And I see Kate Klubnik struggling in this game. I could see it maybe being a close game throughout the first half, but I just see Texas pulling away in the second half as long as their quarterback play is there. So whether or not that's Ewers or Manning, I think if Texas gets a solid game out of their quarterback, I think they win this one.
Yeah, now if we're going to see an upset from Clemson, how do you think we're going to get it? What do they got to do? What we got to see?
Um, TJ Park has got to be disruptive. I think they got to definitely run the ball with Phil Maffa. Maffa's a great player, 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns. A very powerful guy. He's a huge, huge dude. And Klubnik's got to play well. And against this Texas defense, that's not easy. Klubnik has been inconsistent, but overall, he's a very good dual threat quarterback. I believe 30, 40 total touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. So, I mean, he's a very good player. So, I mean, he's capable of doing it, but will he? We'll see. But
Yeah,
yeah, I got Texas. So if I had to give a score, we'll say Texas 34, Clemson 20.
I think that's fair, especially since I believe, like you said, that it's going to be very close in the first half. Because another thing about Clemson that I want to bring up real fast before we go to the next game is the fact that Clemson is a first half team. They are fantastic in the first half,
Hmm.
but they suck in the second half. They don't do anything in most of the games that they've played in the second half. They have blown leads. They have looked absolutely atrocious defensively. Everything you can do wrong, they do it wrong in the second half, like plain and simple. So this is a team that they might even have like a 1 or 2 possession lead on Texas going into halftime, but don't you dare turn your dial because they are going to blow it. I guarantee it.
No, I totally agree. But I think Texas' defense is just going to be too good. And I think Ewers or Manning does enough to beat Clemson. That's about all I got to say about that game.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. I really like Penn State in this one personally. I think Penn State is absolutely one of the elite teams in here. I think Penn State is absolutely fantastic in terms of their run game. I think they have one of the best running backs in the country. Obviously, Genty's the best, not even close. But I think Nick Singleton definitely gives a lot of people a run for their money for top five for sure. He does
Singleton might
everything.
be Singleton might be one of the best pass catchers out of the backfield in the nation. And let's
Yeah,
not forget about the backup, Kaytron Allen, who would be starting for almost every team in the nation. So Penn
exactly.
State has two elite running backs, and of course they have the best tight end in football. They have the best tight end in college football. He's going to be a first rounder, probably top 10. This guy is lined up everywhere. He's even lined up in some Wildcat quarterback, man. Stellar season, man. 88 catches, 1,062 yards, 8 touchdowns receiving, and also 23 carries, 200 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And guess what? This guy's thrown the ball 5 times. He's 3 for 5, 35 yards and a touchdown through the air for Tyler Warren. So they're going to line this guy up everywhere, and he's going to be a matchup nightmare for any defense in this playoffs.
Tyler Warren is legitimately like he runs routes and catches the ball like Gronk, and then he gives you kind of that. I mean, I don't know if it's a kind of detriment to his play to call him Taysom Hill, but he gives you
He has
that
some,
Taysom Hill style Swiss
yeah,
Army knife.
I would agree. I think Taysom Hill, like a mixture between like a Taysom Hill that just catches the ball extremely well.
Yeah.
Let's not forget, Penn State might have the best defensive player in the nation. Bill Carter, edge rusher, who's going to be a top 5 pick, top 10, very minimum. 10 sacks, absolutely disruptive against the run. You have to run the ball away from his side, and you have to game plan. You got to double that guy sometimes. Bill Carter is an absolute monster. And I question if SMU has the talent to stop a guy like Abdul Carter. The
Yeah.
big question I have with SMU is their best wins against Louisville. They went 11-2. They lost to BYU. BYU is a very good team. Obviously, lost to Clemson. Their best win is Louisville, right? They have an explosive offense. They're averaging 38.5 points per game this season, so very good. They have a very good running back, 1,600 yards and 19 touchdowns there for Bashard Smith, and he can also catch the ball at the backfield, just like Singleton for Penn State. Two pretty damn good D linemen. You got Javari Harvey with 7 sacks and Isaiah Smith with 6.5. Very, very good front four here for SMU. But I do question their back seven. But that D line's very good. But, you know,
Well,
um,
just to give a quick analysis on SMU, they have a terrible secondary. Their back half of the defense is really bad. That is honestly the main reason that Clemson absolutely was beating the crap out of them for a while, was because their front was not able to do much against that Clemson line. And K. Klubnik was just absolutely wheeling and dealing against that god awful secondary that they have over there. And on top of that, SMU has a tackling problem. And what I mean by that is that you always see them get to the player, but if it's not the front four, especially that big black dude in the middle, I forgot his name, I'm sorry, but you know who I'm talking about. If it's him, then he'll wrap the guy up and body slam him and get it done for sure. He's great. But like the other guys always get stiff armed, body slammed, ran over, you name it. They can't tackle to save their life. That's another reason why I think Penn
I
State's
think
just going
that's
to destroy them.
another main reason we I think we both agree that Penn State's going to beat SMU by double digits. I think Warren, Singleton, and Allen are going to be too much for the SMU defense. I think Penn State gets it done here. I think Penn State moves on and faces Golden State in the next round.
I 100%
Let's get
agree,
into this.
man.
Let's get in this Indiana Notre Dame game.
The
Um,
easiest one to pick. Or one of them.
I, so Indiana is second in the nation in points per game with 43.3, but I'm not giving them a shot in this one.
Yeah, heck no.
They have their best win all season is Michigan. They lost by 23 to Ohio State Road. Now, I will say this: they have one of the best interior defensive linemen in the nation. Mikael Kamara is an absolute monster, and he can disrupt this Notre Dame offense for sure. He has 10 sacks from the D tackle position, which is super impressive. This team runs the ball very well. Two very good running backs, 37 rushing touchdowns as a team, which is pretty crazy. 37 rushing touchdowns out of the lot.
Dang.
But Notre Dame's good. They lost to Northern Illinois earlier in the season, and since then they look like a completely different football team. Riley Leonard is one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the nation. He can run the ball with the best of them, and he's a very decent passer. They have a great running back, Jeremiah Love, the sophomore, 1,150 yards and 17 total touchdowns. He can catch the ball at the backfield. He's a very good all-around back. And the best defensive player, I'd probably say Riley Mills, the 6'5" senior, 6.5 sacks. But overall, Notre Dame, very solid defense. I think Notre Dame handles Indiana I would say maybe 34-17, 34-20, something like that. But I think this is the
Yeah.
easiest thing to pick.
I think it's actually
So
going
I
to be
think we
worse than
can,
that, if you want my honest
I think
opinion.
we
I
can
think,
move on to the next game, and I think Notre Dame dominates this one. Would you agree?
yeah. Oh, yeah. I think, as I said before, man, I think the score is going to be significantly worse than what you said. I think Indiana is going to lose just as bad, if not worse, than what they did to Ohio State here. The only reason I say that is because Riley Leonard, he has always been a fantastic dual threat, but it's really showing now that he's with a really good school. You know, like the school that he's with finally meshes with his talent to allow him to be a title contender. And we're
Hmm.
all finally seeing the Riley Leonard that was at Duke that was held back by those players. So I think that that player alone is enough to push them over the hump and absolutely dominate Indiana.
Okay, yeah, I agree, but I think this next matchup we got to talk about is probably my favorite out of the first round matchups. Tennessee versus Ohio State. Man, can I just talk about how Oregon gets absolutely screwed with this draw? I mean, you either have to play Tennessee or Ohio State, and I think those might be two of the top five teams in the nation, in my own personal opinion.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
Tennessee's a fantastic team. They have a great quarterback. Nico is fantastic. Their running back is spectacular. He's a top five back in the nation. Dylan Sampson, 1,500 total yards and 22 touchdowns. Absolute monster. And then on the defensive side, they got a guy over there, the edge rusher, who's had kind of an underwhelming season, considering, his draft and where he projected to go. James Pierce Jr. is still a fantastic player. He had 7.5 sacks this season. But that guy's he was projected to go top five before the season. Now he's a top 20 pick. But James Pierce Jr. is still a lot to deal with. And that Tennessee defense is elite. And, that Tennessee offense is elite. They're averaging 37.3 points per game. I honestly believe this is the top five defense in the nation. With that being said, though, I'm
Ohio
still going
State's
to
a
pick
monster,
Ohio
man.
State. I'm
Yeah.
still going to pick Ohio State. It's going to be a very close game. I could see a 23-20, 21-17. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game, but I think Ohio State edges it out. The main guy I want to watch for on Ohio State is obviously we know they have those two great running backs. They got Henderson and Judkins. Those guys are monsters, both very good players. The main guy that excites me in that Ohio State offense is Jeremiah Smith. Have we seen a true freshman this good? 57 catches, 934 yards, and 11 touchdowns in his first season at Ohio State. I mean, that is elite. That is a true freshman. This is a kid that started off the year as a 17-year-old. What a freak. I mean, this guy's a freak.
He and
And
Ryan Williams just jumped off the page
yeah,
immediately,
absolutely.
man. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy these kids, these 17-year-old kids, how good they are nowadays. But so the guy I want to talk for on Ohio State's defense is actually Tyreek Williams, which he's probably not the guy that pops out the most on the stat sheet. But this guy is huge in the middle of the field. This guy is a 6'3",
mhm.
335-pounder. He had 2.5 sacks, and he is a fantastic run stuffer. He's built like Vita Vea, man. This guy's
Yeah.
built like Vita Vea, and if you've ever watched Vita Vea play, you know that's not very fun to go against. So Tennessee and Dylan Sampson might want to watch out running up that middle. You might want to attack them edges, which this
But
Ohio State team is loaded with talent though, all over the city.
yeah, and here's why I like Ohio State. And the main reason that I've always said that it's going to come down to whenever Ohio State and Oregon have to play each other, you know? Ohio
Mm,
State, in my opinion, has the best front seven in all of college
I
football.
would
I
agree.
will
They
say
have
that right
three
now.
guys that could go in the first round. Like I just mentioned, Tyreek Williams, Jack Sawyer, and JT. I'm sorry, guys. I do not know how to pronounce his last name. If anyone wants to help me out with that in the comments, please try. But JT, all those guys are first round projected picks. And that
Exactly.
Ohio State front seven is elite. Elite.
And on top of that, too, dude, like they have a phenomenal secondary as well. So when you put the whole
Mm-hmm.
entire picture together and you look at Ohio
Alabama.
State, I can't think of a freaking team in this playoff other than maybe Oregon that can actually successfully, constantly, consistently move the ball against this team. I think they're going to give a lot of people fits. But the main reason that I'm picking them against Tennessee is the fact that not only is their defense going to give Tennessee fits because they do a lot of things through Dylan Sampson, and he's not going to be able to do all that much against this front seven. So they're going to put a lot of pressure on Nico, who I do believe is a freshman, correct?
I want to say he's a sophomore.
Oh, well, I mean, he's still a
He's a
young
redshirt
kid,
sophomore.
but like. to put all the pressure onto him. I don't know if he's had a game this year that's really been like, hey, kid, you have to go out there and do all the work. And on top of that, we're sitting here and we're talking about like Dylan Sampson and the run game and the O line and, Nico and stuff like that. But we haven't really talked much about the Tennessee wide receiver unit. They're decent. They're good. I'm not saying that they stink, not by any stretch of the imagination. But going against Caleb Downs and guys like
Mhm.
that, no shot. I'm sorry. I think that this game will be close just because, as you said, I think Tennessee has a very good defense as well. So I think that Will Howard on the other side is going to have a little bit of a hard time as well, given especially the fact that he struggled against Michigan, who we all believe is a not great, middle of the road, okay team this year at best. So seeing that makes me think Will Howard's going to struggle against Tennessee. Nico's going to struggle against Ohio State. But just given the fact that there is such a talent discrepancy, in my opinion, in Ohio State's favor, that I just can't see a world where Tennessee is going to go into
Oh,
Ohio State and win.
I don't necessarily agree with the talent discrepancy. I think Tennessee is talented all over the field. Like I said, I believe they have a top 10 offense and a top five defense. But I do believe where Ohio State has the advantage is Ryan Day is his record outside of against Michigan is absolutely insane. And I just think Ohio State's been here, done that, and I think they edge it out against Tennessee, whether that's on a game on a field goal or a late turnover from Tennessee. But
That's
yeah,
the underrated thing too that you just said. The fact that Ryan Day and Ohio State, they've been here multiple times before.
yeah.
So,
Um, let's get to this first, quarterfinal matchup. I think we should go ahead and talk about this Arizona State, Texas.
all right, let's do it.
Um, let's talk about Arizona State versus Texas. This is a this is an interesting game. Look. I'm a Big 12 hater. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a Big 12 hater. Right. So let's talk about Arizona State here real quick. Arizona State 11-2. Their two losses were two games to losing, where teams were losing records, right? But they're coming into the playoffs very hot. And one of those games that they lost, they were without the quarterback. Cam Scatterboot on this Arizona State team, I believe, is the second best running back in the nation. 2,100 total yards and 22 touchdowns. He is an absolute elite receiver out the backfield. And this team also has the number one wide receiver. Jordan Tyson's another guy that's very good. 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns coming off that wide receiver position. But I want to talk about some things for Arizona State. Look, like I said, 72nd strength of schedule. And I don't take that into account too much, but it is worth mentioning. And this Arizona State team only had 21 sacks on the season,
Mm,
right?
dang.
21 sacks on the season, and we're talking about they're playing Texas. That's going to be a problem. Their best defensive player, in my opinion, is probably Keith Abney, the cornerback. 7 pass deflections and 3 interceptions. No one on that defensive side is really super, well known. But I'm gonna just call it what it is. I think Texas wins this game by double digits, and that's about all I got to
100%.
say about it. Whether that's Arch Manning or
You were
when you were starting. Yes, exactly. But I think we can move past this one. I think we both agree that
Yeah,
Texas.
this is a really, really easy one to pick, man. Like, who in the world believes in ASU? Like, no offense to you Arizona State fans out there. I mean, maybe you'll prove us wrong, so don't lose hope yet. The game hadn't happened. But let's be honest here. You look at Texas, you look at a team that, if things were a little bit different, they'd probably be a top four seed with a bye week right now. And you got to go in there and play them. Yeah, nah, I don't like your chances. And on top of that, they're having close games with people like, Georgia and stuff like that, where they are significantly better than ASU. So there's that too.
No, I totally agree here. Um, you know, I can't wait any longer. Let's talk about Boise State versus Penn State.
Let's
Let's
do it.
talk about Boise State versus Penn State.
Let's do
And
it.
if you guys don't know, I'm a huge Boise State fan. I've been a Boise State fan since I was about 8 years old. Um, and I know a lot about this team. I've watched every snap. So this Boise State team is second in the nation in sacks. Very good front four, very good D line. Players, very good depth. Now the question mark for Boise State is that secondary. Their pass defense is the lowest in the playoffs. Their secondary was not great all season. Um, And another thing for this Boise State team, as I've talked about before, is very inconsistent quarterback play. But with that inconsistent quarterback play that Maddox Madsen has delivered for Boise State, he's also been one of the best game managers in college football. He's the only quarterback in the nation with 20 plus touchdowns and only 3 interceptions. He's thrown 3 interceptions and he's only been sacked 9 times. Now, having a game manager at quarterback isn't necessarily a bad thing when you have a guy like Ashton Jeanty, who is the best player in college football.
Yeah,
2,500 yards and 30 total touchdowns. Um,
I
and the
couldn't agree
defensive players
more.
we talk about on this Boise State team, their two defensive ends combined for 18 and a half sacks. Jaden Virgin Morgan and Ahmad Hassanin make up with one of the best groups of DNs in the nation. So I think, that could give Penn State fits, but there's a talent discrepancy in this game, right, Logan? Penn State is
Yeah.
more talented than Boise State. But
Yes.
in my own personal opinion, I think Boise State is better coached, and I think Ashton Jeanty is going to be unstoppable in this game.
Yes, I agree.
26 days of rest that Ashton Jeanty will get before playing this Penn State team, which will have to play a game the week before. So Ashton Jeanty, who's been banged up all season, will be fully healthy for this game, and I think will
Bro,
run wild and break Barry Sanders' record in this game.
bro. First off, just the motivation to break that record for Ashton Jeanty is going to push him to be so elite that it's insane in this game. So that alone is going to make him a absolute threat and beyond dangerous. But on top of all that, yes, I agree that talent discrepancy and all that, and whatever else you can throw out there that people are probably going to throw out there that you're talking about Boise, right? But the thing is, Maddox Madsen plays good enough, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
to get you over the hump as long as Ashton Jeanty is doing his thing.
Going to be surprised with this Boise State team. I don't think many people have watched them. I think many people have discredited this team. And I think Boise State goes out there and shows they belong. I think they beat Penn State in a very close 38-35 shootout.
Yeah, you know what? You've honestly, at first I wasn't with it, but you've talked me into it. And the only reason is one major reason, and that is the fact that whenever I watched them play Oregon, they were freaking atrocious against Jordan James. I believe that's his name, the running back for Oregon. They were awful against him. And I'm like, dude, Ashton Jeanty is 10 times better than that guy. I can't imagine the
Mm-hmm.
numbers Genty's going to put up on this team. You might not even throw the ball that much the way that they defend the run, dude. It might be an Ashton Jeanty 400-yard, 5 touchdown crazy fest. We don't know. But I'm just saying, like, whenever I saw the numbers that they gave up to Jordan James just now, yeah, I'm fully Boise State now because they got the best running back on the planet. Period.
Um, so let's get into this next matchup, Logan. Oregon, Ohio State. We've seen this one before.
Uh,
Oregon obviously won. They won by one or two. I don't remember.
they won by a point
Um,
on a game-winning field goal, 31
yeah.
32.
But Oregon, only undefeated team in college football. Dylan Gabriel might be the best quarterback. I would lean Cam Ward or Shadir Sanders probably over him, but Gabriel's great. 3,500 total yards and 35 touchdowns. And the guy you just mentioned, Jordan James, he might not be Jency, but he's no slouch. 1,250 yards and 15 touchdowns. And then this Oregon team has some receivers. I know you've watched them and I know you see them. Tez Johnson's the main guy to that group. He's a fantastic player. He has missed some games, but he has elite speed. He had 10 touchdowns. And Oregon has the good Ugalele. I know you
Yep.
remember DJ Ugalele, the Clemson,
Unfortunately, yep.
the Clemson, Oregon State, and Florida State failure. His brother, Matisse, plays for Oregon, or Mateo, I believe his name actually. Ten
He's
and a half
elite.
sacks,
He's
ten and a
elite.
half sacks. And they also, their other DN, Jordan Birch, 8.5 sacks. So this Oregon team that's known for their offense, they got some guys on that defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And this Oregon team, as you know, I've been saying this forever. I think Oregon is winning the national championship. Spoiler alert, I guess. So, whenever it comes to that, like, Oregon to me is elite at every level except for one spot. And I can't stand it because it's the reason they give up a lot of points to good teams. And it's linebacker. Their linebackers
Mhm.
can't tackle to save their damn life. If they could figure that out, they'd be stopping everybody. But I digress, and I want to say that Oregon has the best offense that I have personally watched this year. They're up there, anyways. They are so dang good to me. Dylan Gabriel, in my opinion, not to discredit what you were saying, I think he is the best quarterback in the country. And I don't think it's particularly close just because the elite nature of his ability to score, scramble, and not turn the football over is just out of this world and better than 99% of the people that are playing on the other teams. It's just, it is what it is. Like, this man is the best quarterback in this college football playoffs, period. It's not even close. And I personally just think that that alone can push you over the hump. But on top of having the good Ugalele, I think's how you say it. I don't know. I probably just butchered that. They'll make fun of me in the comments. It's fine. But whenever it comes to having him and he's just going after the quarterback consistently nonstop, there's nobody in this whole entire playoff that can line up straight up across ukulele and completely take him out of a game. He will at least get pressures and be in the quarterback's face every single play. And he's also really good against the run, which I think is a very underrated trait for ukulele. And it's just, when I look at this team, man, I see this team's winning a national championship every single time I watch them play. They're undefeated. They've proven that no matter what happens, they can find a way to win. And I just love Oregon in these playoffs. So I'm obviously taking Oregon here.
Yeah, I think we both agree Oregon gets a close one here, but I think we're going to get to the game where we disagree. I
Let's do
think I
it.
know who you're picking in this one. Notre Dame, Georgia. I'm
Yep, we're
going Notre
disagreeing.
Dame. I got Notre Dame in this.
We're disagreeing
And
100%.
the reason for that, um, what's Georgia's quarterback situation here? Is Carson Beck playing? Their backup got knocked out of the game. Does he have a concussion? He got his freaking helmet knocked off. Um,
That's
and this Notre
true,
Dame
but
team,
that is true. But I also am not picking them because of the quarterback. Their quarterback, I'll say this about Georgia: their quarterback's never been good. Like, was Stetson Bennett great? No, he was okay at best. He was like Maddox Madsen whenever he was in college. Let's be honest here,
but
okay? Like,
like I said, this Notre Dame team's been a different team since losing to Northern Illinois.
yeah, but to me, it's like you just look at it and Georgia's defense is going to eat these kids alive. Like, that's
I
just the way I look at it.
we'll see. I don't really have much to say about this one, just other than I think Notre Dame will be closer here. I don't believe in I believe more in Riley Leonard than any of Georgia's quarterbacks.
Now, I will say this. I hope you're right because I would rather see Notre Dame win because I like Riley Leonard a lot, but I don't see it, man. I think Georgia's going to take it. Their defense is just too damn good. They got one of the best defenses
Oh,
in this whole entire playoff.
so are we into the semifinals now, huh?
Yes, sir. Seems like it.
So our first so we'll have a different semifinal matchup. So do you want to talk about the winner? Who do you think's winning Boise State, Georgia?
Well, I'm gonna give you an answer you don't like, and it's I'm going Georgia. And the only reason is because they're one of the only teams on this planet that I think has a good enough front four to make Genty struggle. That is the only reason. I think the only reason that you guys have everything going as good as you do is because Ashton Genty is dropping like 300 yards a game. If that doesn't happen, I think that Maddox Madsen struggles a lot more than we've recently seen. I think that your defense doesn't do as good as it's been doing because they have to be on the field more. I think a lot of things end up kind of collapsing for Boise State. And on top of that, I mean, we also have to remember that it was an injured shoulder for Carson Beck and they have like a month break, I believe, maybe a month and like a week or something like that. But it's a long time that they have a little bit of a break.
Uh,
So,
yeah, no,
so
I agree with that.
I think Carson Beck might be back by the time the playoffs start and or this game if they get there. So that's my thing is like I think even Georgia will be at full health, so like the whole Carson Beck thing won't even be an issue anymore. And I think this game will come down to Carson Beck versus Maddox Madsen. And I'm sorry, Jackson, I think Carson Beck's better than Maddox Madsen, and I think that's what it's going to come down to.
And I'll say this, I don't disagree with you because I think if Georgia beats Notre Dame, Georgia beats Boise State, just because, like you said, that front four of Georgia is amazing. So it'll create matchup nightmares for Boise State. But me, Logan, I picked Notre Dame to beat Georgia, and I think Boise State beats Notre Dame. And maybe that's my heart talking, and I'm pretty sure it is. But I just don't think anyone's giving us credit here. I just, I think Boise State gets it done and gets to the national championship. And I think we know who they're playing.
Yeah,
I
we
think
do.
we both agree
We
that
do.
Oregon slightly beats Texas. And the main reason behind that is Dylan Gabriel. He's just the quarterback play is there for Oregon. We don't know if it's there for Texas.
Yeah, 100%.
But
And
and
we know
Oregon
the
has made
national championship, man. Uh,
Oregon has made everyone's defense look bad, and I wouldn't be surprised if they made Texas defense look bad. And I think they score enough points to beat Texas in that matchup.
yeah, and
So
it's the improv of Dylan Gabriel that really makes it happen. I want to bring that up too. Like this man, the way he runs around, he's very Patrick Mahomes-esque, where he runs around, he makes people break tackles, miss sacks, moves in the pocket very well. And then his receivers just move like an amoeba for him, kind of like the Chiefs do, where they're like not really running a route. They're like, let me get to an open spot so Patrick sees me, sort of deal. And I think that is why Oregon's offense is so unstoppable. Is just because whenever you watch them, they are moving with Dylan Gabriel. They're not like they run a route, of course, but then like once that route breaks down and it doesn't work and Dylan Gabriel's running around, they run around with him. They try to get open with him. Everybody tries to make this thing work, and I think that's why they're elite. Is because they're very like the Chiefs.
yep. So before this video gets too long, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Listen everyone off in the comment section. I'm finishing the Cinderella story. Boise State, 15-1 going into the national championship versus 16-0 Oregon. Boise State gets revenge for their 37-34 loss and becomes the national championship champions behind Ashton Genty. And Ashton Genty reaches 3,000 yards this season.
And I just want to clarify that I don't agree with him at all. I got Oregon winning the national championship, as I said earlier. But keep
So
going, keep talking.
you're picking Oregon over Georgia in your national championship, correct?
Yes, I'm picking Oregon over everybody. I think Oregon's winning the whole thing.
Look, what we saw earlier. We saw earlier this season, Boise State compete with Oregon. Now, could they get to that game and Oregon goes up 21-0, and then all of a sudden Ashton Genty, you're struggling to run the ball and you have to allow Maddox Madsen to make a comeback and Oregon kills Boise State? Is that a possibility? Yeah. But the game I saw showed and proved to me that Boise State can beat anyone. And if Maddox Madsen can play like he's capable of, we've seen him play good. We've seen him have good halves. We've seen him have good moments. Can he play good for a whole, playoffs and lead Boise State to a national championship? We'll see. We will see. But that is my pick. I'm going Boise State. And that's my heart talking.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think we got the best player in the nation. I think we got the front four to give anyone problems. I think we have great coaching. And I think Maddox Madsen's, going to turn a leaf in these playoffs.
I mean, I don't think y'all are gonna win the title. I mean, now that we're done like talking about it, they know I like Oregon and you like Boise. Like I can just say my overall thoughts now. And when it comes to Boise State, man, I think you'll win your first game, especially if it's like Penn State or SMU, whatever. I think that's fine. But like every team after that, like Georgia, Texas, the teams that you could potentially play that are like massive teams. I just don't see it, man. I'm sorry. I hope
Okay,
I'm
so
wrong.
I'll say this. I'll say this. When yesterday, last night, I was not a take Boise State, but after waking up and seeing these brackets, I think Boise's got a shot, man. I think they beat Penn
They
State or
definitely have a
SMU.
shot. It's a
You
shot
avoid
in the
playing.
dark, but it's a shot.
You avoid playing Tennessee or Ohio State. You avoid playing, Georgia in the second round. So you're, in the semifinals. If Notre Dame beats Georgia, like I said, I think Georgia would beat Boise State in that potential matchup just because of the nightmare matchup that is for Boise State. But I think Boise State gets past Notre Dame.
Potentially.
Um,
Potentially.
but
Yeah.
but that's our predictions, guys. I don't have much else to say. I'm excited. This
Yeah.
is the coolest college football season ever, especially seeing as a fan of a team like Boise State, seeing them have a shot here. and seeing other teams like SMU and Arizona State, and Indiana have a shot, it's pretty cool.
And it's so much better than what it used to be, where it's like, oh, yay, it's Georgia, Texas, Alabama, and freaking Clemson again for the 10th year. Woo!
Guys, I think that's going to be it for the video. Please subscribe. Let us know what you think. Give us your predictions in the comments. And
Exactly. And tell us if you think we're kind of dumb for the teams that we pick, or if you agree with us. And also, I'm curious on your thoughts. Are you going to take our video and go put it in Vegas and try to win some money? Let us know down below. Probably not the greatest idea. I'll be honest.
everybody,
I went 5 for
put your
5.
lifesavers on Boise State.
No, even though I went 5 for 5 in my short, I will say that. So you guys should have copied that short. I was 100% right. You did. You made some money. Congratulations. But are you going to copy this? Are you going to trust me again? Let's see. I don't know if you should, because this is a whole bracket, so a lot more can go wrong, obviously. But if you want to try it out, be sure to just press the rewind button and check out every single round and pick with us, man. And yeah, subscribe, as he said, man. We're trying to grow this thing to 100 subscribers by the end of January. So please hit that subscribe button if you enjoy amazing sports content. We upload one video a week, and you don't want to miss any of it. So be sure that you are here at J&L Sports. From me and Jackson to all of y'all, peace!